Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight series. My name is Claudia Thompson, and today I'm here with Andrew Woodruff, the Managing Director of Aero Energy Solutions, who are your experts in cavity extractions, loft insulation, and solar. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here, Andrew. I'm very excited to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me as well.
Why don't you kick us off and tell us how you and Aero Energy Solutions came together?
Actually, it's a not a straightforward answer, as probably many people who end up running a business find themselves. The business hadn't actually started off as an insulation company, but as a company marketing insulation, and we went from marketing it to producing work-ready orders, to then deciding that actually the companies we were then getting to carry out the work-ready orders weren't perhaps doing as good a job as they could be doing, and then brought in our own in-house teams to do the cavity wall insulation. And then from there sort of grew to doing the extractions, the loft insulation, then our own in-house teams for solar and battery installs. And then you sort of look back and think, oh, well, we're a renewables company that does the almost the entire retrofit process. Whereas actually we just started out not lead genning, but doing marketing on behalf of a couple of insulation companies.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's what I love about being in business. It's like you can't necessarily predict what's going to happen, where you're going to end up. So you went with where your jobs or your clients took you.
Yeah, so you know, this is the thing about a lot of people get into business. They may have a great idea, they may be wedded to that idea. You know, if you're running an idea for a restaurant and you wanted to serve the best lamb burgers you know the country could ever have hoped to have had, but everybody that came in wanted a beef burger. In the end, you're going to have to serve the beef burger, otherwise you're going out of business, no matter how wedded you were to the original idea. Unless, of course, it crosses your ethical barriers, in which case you're in a slightly different situation. But so for us, it really was, you know, just taking the next step where the opportunity was there. And in fact, it was also one of the other reasons we had our own in-house teams, to realize how much business we were giving to other companies to fulfill the orders. And if anything ever happened, what would happen to us? So actually, when we made the transition to bringing our teams in-house, before that had actually happened, I'd already rented a warehouse, bought the equipment, had everything we needed. So within 2 weeks after making the decision to no longer use outside help, as it were, we're actually up and running with a full-scale operation. And that was just an insurance policy I put in place in case anything ever went sour. Yeah. So sometimes you end up going down the unexpected routes, or sometimes you fight very hard to stay on a path or get to a sort of new path, as it were, which is, you know, some of which we're doing right now is pivoting direction and looking for sustainable futures, which is ironic being in a sustainable industry.
Yeah. And you named a few things there. So listening to your customers, making sure you're safe. Are there any other attributes that you would say are the reason for your successful growth?
There's never one thing. So right from the start, I've always been very focused on at least trying to achieve, if not actually achieving, doing the right thing for every customer. And if that's your focus, you are generally going to succeed or on a path to success. If you're looking to see, right, how can I exploit each customer, or how can we get out of supporting this customer afterwards, or passing the buck on this one, you'll eventually just end up being a 3 out of 5 star company. Whereas if you are generally putting the customer first as often as you can, in every way that you can, that's realistic, then the referrals come, the goodwill comes, the repeat customer comes. In our industry, it's hard to have a repeat customer because once you've done it once, you've insulated the home, or you've put the solar on the home. Unlike let's say a tree surgeon, where the tree grows back again, or they have multiple trees. But we do get repeat customers when they move house, or particularly in the trades and on the commercial side. But if we've ever worked with a customer before and they've moved house, we very quickly get the phone call as they're moving or have moved, to come and take a look to see if any improvements can be made. But on that private side, always just making sure that the potential customer, before they become a customer, are happy with the work that we were suggesting they undertake. So we'll go out and investigate a house, meet the customer. We're not a sales team, very much just provide information. So we probably lose a few customers because we're not on the phone hassling them. On the flip side, I like to think that also means we've won a few deals because we're not on the phone hassling them. But we're quite sort of laid back in that sense, and hope that they come to their own conclusions and are brought into the concept of the work that we want to do with them or for them. And then we carry out the work, make sure that afterwards they have any ability to suggest if there was any snagging issue or anything like that, and we'll come back and put it right. Generally it's right first time, but in any work on any home and people's expectations, etc., sometimes you've got to go back, but we don't argue about that, we just do it. And so that kind of attitude is I think what drives us forward, and the fact that the team are on board with that kind of attitude as well. So that they know they're not working in a company that's just looking for the shortcut all the time, that they can chat to a customer and know that at every level in the company, everybody actually wants to do the best for the customer. So that's been an important factor to our growth, I think. Timing and luck and all these other aspects all come into it. On the flip side, you put a lot of effort into becoming lucky.
And it just proves that great service is your best marketing tool.
When I was back in 1997, I went and spent some time living in the US. I was quite young then, and it was a very different way of customer service out there than it was here. And then a few years later, I started up a yacht charter business in the Caribbean, where we were taking care of predominantly our American clients, and sort of 100-hour working weeks, running that, taking care of them. But it was always do everything that we can, try and not say no kind of attitude, and then just sort of bringing that philosophy here as well. We have people on our front desk that they can call in, email, speak to a happy person, not having to leave a voicemail during office hours, or now potentially an AI recording that's going to fob you off. And we do our best to get back to people quickly, and never looking to shift blames or any of that kind of culture. Not hide behind a wall. One of the things that we're doing right now is we're about to move to this new facility, and we're going to have a nice meeting room for clients to come in and meet and chat with us before undertaking any jobs if they wish to do so. It's all just sort of building that whole trust relationship.
Fantastic. And you touched earlier on the team that you have around you. What attributes or what qualities do you look for in employees?
Well, in our business, there's quite a diverse range of employees, because you have your surveyors who also, I said they're not salespeople, they've got to come across well. And they're going out meeting the clients first. You know, we've got our reception staff who will have to project well over the phone. Then we've got our teams that actually go out and do the important work. You know, the actual reason that you know, whether it's putting insulation in, taking old out, or putting, you know, a solar system together. But you know, the solar system will need a solar designer. You know, there's so many different people for different roles, and they all bring different attributes. So for the teams that go out and do the work, you know, we need self-starters. You know, in this particular case, yes, they're all guys. So we need guys who are going to make sure that they take a pride in what they do, that they go out there, be nice to the client, get on with the work, and you know, avoid doing anything controversial with, you know, even just driving the vans around. You know, we don't want road rage instances, you know, things like this. So, you know, the guys, you know, they at all times have to project their professionalism. You know, they're the ones really representing us. So they need to be good at what they do. They just need to, you know, do as much as we can in a day to make that day a profitable day, as well as doing the right thing for the client. So those guys, you know, I would give them a really long lead in which to sort of not overshadow them, give them their own kind of space to do what they want to do and kind of put their work plan together. So it feels that, you know, they have their own you know, self-charge, as it were. But that takes a lot of trust as well. So, you know, we have to build that trust that they're doing a good job. We are, as an industry, one that has to do a bit of our own monitoring. So we, you know, we do check up on our work. That allows us to send photos every day. So, you know, that those guys, we've got to sort of get self-motivation. Let's say the more office-based, you know, in all cases, you know, we've just have nice, fun people to work with that aren't actually, none of us are really from a corporate background. So I guess we're all a bit more normal, you know, straight talking, and you know, just want the best for the customer, and that sort of projects through the more sort of office-based people that we've sort of set a tone there. So what am I looking for people there? People that will just get on with the people we've got. That's a starting point. Again, self-starters, people who are just going to make some decisions throughout the day as they get to learn more and more about the company and what we're looking for per different operation, of course. But it really is slightly different for each different role. And I'll be interviewing this week as well for some project managers and for some of the big projects we've got coming up. To be quite honest, I'd probably go about it completely the wrong way and just go by feel. Do I like the person?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll hire them. You know, as long as they've got the.
No, you'd be surprised how many business owners tell me that just going by gut instinct, going about, you know, if there's something in the interview that you're already like, I'm not too sure, then there's usually something that will, in the end.
Funny recently, and you know, one of my other team members, Matthew, who'd already started the interviewing process. I was caught up on a call. And I walked into the room, and you know, you've only got to put your best foot forward for a few minutes being interviewed, and the guy's already telling us what he's not prepared to do by opening up, saying, "I'm not going to wear a mask." Okay, well, I don't think anybody has in the last 2 years since COVID. And he wouldn't drop it. Like, okay, I think we're done here.
Okay.
You know, it's like all you had to do was be sane for like, you know, and show your credentials and make sure that you're likable. It's a funny one. Not everybody can do that.
And on the back of that, what have been your biggest learnings as an employer?
I haven't learned it yet. Every day presents another challenge within the business. You know, decisions that I make aren't, decisions I make about the business, they all affect the employees. So, you know, just chasing a different style of client has a knock-on effect. You know, if they're going to be more administration heavy, then, you know, that's going to have an impact on my admin teams and on our, you know, the lads who go to site. They may have to perform more tasks, etc., etc. You know, so every decision has a knock-on effect. So that's one thing, and you've really got to get people on board with why you want to work with a certain client or in a certain way, because it might not be obvious to anybody else. It's like, oh, I just want to turn up, do my thing. Now you're making me do this thing and this thing. Yes, but this will put us here, and this will give us your stability going forward, and maybe a couple of cherries on top. I don't think you'll ever actually fully learn everything you need to learn as an employee, because as much as you'd like to plan ahead, and as much as you can run the business to that plan, you won't necessarily always have the time to give to everybody that you thought you would, or project what you thought you could, or have everybody on the same page, or you think people are, but they're not. and that's not their problem, and it's not your fault. It just is. And that's always something you're always just trying to work on, is I guess setting that culture. But it's hard to set a culture all the time that's consistent across all areas of the business, because, you know, like the lads who go and do the hard work, I don't see them very often. You know, they're at the warehouse at 6 a.m. getting ready. So they're gone before I get there at sort of 7:30 or so. So, you know, it's just hard to always get that across all the time. And you just have to deal with it sometimes in a reactive manner, unfortunately.
If you had to start again from square one in business, is there anything you would do differently now?
There are always improvements that could have been made at every step, obviously. But if you look at where you've started from and have gotten to, like, I built this business up and collected people helped me along to build this business up as we've gone along. There was no big pot of money to start with. You know, some people are self-made billionaires when they start off with a few £1 million. But in this case, you know, there wasn't any money when we started our installation. It was just a slow progression. We started from literally having a website and hoping to attract inquiries to, you know, now having large facilities, 15, 20 vans on the road, and teams all over the south of England on a daily basis. So not having a pot of money means that your decision processes and how you would have done things differently really narrows, because you could only do certain things at a certain time with the budget you have, with the time that you have. We have so far managed a very difficult time in our sort of history of the last few years, between economic effects and COVIDs and what's going on with wars and oil and so on and so forth, that all have an effect. And this is an election year, this will have an effect. Different government ideas and schemes, and even casual news clips of a politician saying something, all have a tremendous effect on the business, and not always in a positive manner. And you have to pivot, you have to ride it through, or maybe you stay your course, just depending on your business, of course. But what would have done differently? We could have kept it a smaller scale business. It was more profitable actually as a smaller scale business. But you kind of get on a wave and you get dragged along as well as pushing it along. And I have aspirations of where I'd like Arrow to be, and so do the people within Arrow. We really feel we're making a positive change to people's lives, because the homes are going to become more comfortable when they get insulated. It does cut down on the condensation, which leads to mold, so it's better for people's health. It lowers their energy bills, so they've got more spending money. Adding solar, is a no-brainer, because the prices have come down so much that the return on the investment is quick. Now, on the commercial side, we can offer finance packages where 100% finance, and the monthly payment is equivalent to the energy saving. So it actually costs the business nothing to have the solar, and in 5 years it's paid off, and now they've got savings. So there's that aspect. But then for the environment, the carbon emissions that we're saving, they all add up, and they all add up quickly. I was looking at some stats, and in the last 2 years alone on cavity wall insulation, we've saved, in theory, 2,700 tons of CO2 emissions, which is also potentially about £900,000 in savings for all those customers we've had. So how would we have done things differently? There's minor changes, but at each point we played the game quite well. We can always play better, but with the information you have at the time you've got, with the budget you have, you do what you can.
Yeah, and that's what business is all about, isn't it? It's like reacting, proacting, if that's even a word. But yeah, so it sounds like you're all set up, and you reacted when you had to, and you were proactive when you had to. And you certainly sound like a busy man. So how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
Oh, that's easy. I had a personal life, and I remember that fondly. And I'll have a personal life again in the future, which I look forward to. I do try and balance it, but it's not a balance. It's an integration. So I think I'm actually quite good at it. I will sneak off to the home office when nobody's looking on a Sunday morning or a Sunday evening. I think, great, nobody knows I'm sneaking off, and I'll sneak off and I'll prep for the next day, or it's a rainy Saturday, and I'll knock out a few hours when nobody wants to do anything else. But the weekends I do try to do something for myself, but also for the family and the dog. I also have a couple of kind of non-negotiables that I don't miss. So I have a couple of sporting hobbies that when it's time to do those, I do go and do them. There are evenings, but if I can make sure that I can make it on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, as an example, and it's a must do, because I'll be letting other people down as well, then that's something that we do during the summer. But yeah, there's people who are getting into running a business because they think they're going to set their own hours and that kind of thing. Sure, there are businesses where you can do that, but as you're scaling up a business and different phases in the business, you're not always going to have that opportunity. There is light at the end of the tunnel in my plan. I'll be interviewing for project managers this week, which will free up some more of my time. But if you're to look at how many different people I need to take on my roles, I need a number of new employees.
Yeah. It takes a village.
Yeah. No matter how good the team I have right now is, there's many parts to my role, and it's sort of, I do want to give them up, but I have to give them up to the right person at the right time. So there have been times that I've been less busy, and I've been able to focus on the more fun things. But right now I'm in a phase of head down working in the business, which is the one thing that the textbook won't say you should do, rather than working on the business. But you go through these phases of growth. You've got to get knee deep back into the water before you can then bring somebody else in, and you can take your step back again, if you like. And that's a small business, I'm afraid. It's multiple roles, and you just got to dig in sometimes. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. I couldn't do it at this pace for more, for too much longer. And there's probably a lot of business owners out there who feel the same. Like, it's like, well, I need to find the next person in so I can breathe again. But we're more than happy to dig in when it's necessary. And right now, it's necessary.
Yeah, well, if you already have the plan to do it, that's always the first step. A lot of business owners that I speak to, they don't even see anything wrong with being the one and sole person that everything hangs upon. So you have that idea, and that plan is already a big step ahead.
Yeah, there's things I don't want to know about in the business anymore, and that takes time to let go. I don't want to know every detail or be CC'd on every email that people are sending to show that something that's happening. It's like, if there's something that you need me to do, tell me. If not, I have to trust that you've got the best of interest for the client or the business, or the combination of both, and that you're going to do the right thing. If you've done the wrong thing, I'll probably have to fix it later. But there are periods where you're going to lose money or profit, or even have to make an apology to somebody, or during these phases. But it's the only way your team is going to grow as well, because without them learning the processes, you're not going to develop at all either. So I have a path to where I'd like to spend less time in it and looking upon it. If you're ever building a business to sell, then you're doing that from scratch. You're always removing yourself from every role as soon as possible. We're not actively looking to sell the business in any form. But I don't want to be continually involved at every level all the time. It's just too much.
And you already mentioned some of the wrong ideas that people have about running a business, but what would you say is the most common misconception that people have about being a business owner?
Well, being a rich business owner with plenty of time on our hands is probably one of the biggest misconceptions. Now, you have to also define a business. So if Dave the painter has been painting for various companies for 25 years in the local area, and one day says, I'm just going to go out by my own, and he knows everybody, and everybody's going to subcontract him, and he says, look, I'm charging a bit more. I only need to work Monday to Thursday. I'm going to take Fridays off. He could probably do that, and he's got a good income as a self-employed painter, or maybe he takes on a lad, and he could achieve that. If you're building a business where you really are taking on staff, and you really are taking on, expenses 100,000, 200,000 a month expenses. Yeah, well, around the £200,000 a month expenses. You know, you're not sleeping well all the time. I can assure you of that. You're monitoring every aspect. The smallest of things can derail you. You know, even down to you becoming ill is going to affect the whole business if you are hands-on. So the misconception of starting a business so you can set your life's parameters around it, and you know, pick your kids up from school at 3 in the afternoon, unless you're like the Dave the Painter scenario, that's not going to happen if you want to be, you know, running a business of 10 people or so, because you know, there you're in this middle ground. If you have a business of 30 people or so, you've probably got the management structure, but it's the growing pains between small to medium small. Bearing in mind that a small business is considered less than 200 people, which to most business owners is massive. You know, the government have a different idea than the reality. The thought of having 200 staff will scare most of us, I think. But you know, as you grow, you go through the growing pains. So, you know, having a business that will always pay out and make you wealthy, you're going to have some deep pockets to fund it sometimes, especially if you're growing the business and the market changes around you. You know, last year with the interest rates dropping, you know, had to pump money back into the business. A lot of businesses did, because the clients dropped off, but you want to retain your good staff. So, you know, some people may have gone and spent that money that was in the company account on their private life, thinking that you know, the money belonged to them. But you have to look at money differently. The money doesn't belong to you. It doesn't even belong to the company. It's just, it passes through, and you get it, you distribute it, and you give it away again. It's not yours. So you've got to have a completely different mindset around money. If you haven't come from this sort of background before, and you've always worked for somebody, you've always had a wage, these are some different kind of misconceptions that you're going to have to change. And the continual reinvestment. When do you take money out of the company to spend on yourself? You know, yes, you do deserve it. It's yours. But by doing that, you know, what is your company now going to lack fund-wise, and what that would have achieved going forward? You know, maybe the company wouldn't survive if you took too much out. So there's a lot of misconception around time and wealth.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for being so open and honest with us. That wraps up our interview. How can people find out more about you? How can they get in touch with you?
You can simply go to our website, arrowinsulation.co.uk, and our contact details are there. There's lots of good information. There's some good energy saving tips on the website as well, which could be of interest to some, especially right now. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Energy saving is relevant for everyone. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
Great. Thank you very much.